Dolphins fans, do you want a shout out on a future video? Well, here's the way to get one. You got to follow us on Instagram. We launched a new handle just a couple weeks ago. At Dolphins Today IG is that handle. And the first 10 people to give us a follow after this video goes out is getting a shout out on a future video. So help us out. I'm Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. And on today's video, we are talking about a potential blockbuster trade in the form of Tristan Wirfs, the offensive tackle from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Could Miami make a deal for the all-pro caliber tackle? The reason why this is even a conversation is because what Jeremy Fowler reported earlier on in the week. He said that Tristan Wirfs did not report to Tampa Bay Buccaneers OTAs and does not plan to do that in the immediate future. The multi-year All-Pro seeks a long-term contract and does not want to risk injury. The sides have not made progress on a new deal. Wirfs is one of the best offensive tackles in all football, which is why I do have to say this before we dive into the full fit for Miami, what it would cost, and how good Wirfs actually is. But I do find it extremely unlikely that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers move on from Wirfs. Even if Wirfs holds out for a long period of time, I still can't imagine them dealing him away because of how good he actually is. But it would be unbelievable for the Dolphins to pick up Tristan Wirfs and add him to this offensive line, because if you look at what he's done over his 4-year career after being the 13th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, it has been nothing short of sensational. He came into the league and dominated. Played right tackle the first 3 seasons of his career in Tampa Bay, worked under Tom Brady, and then obviously last season under Baker Mayfield made the switch to left tackle and still put up really good numbers. PFF has graded him amongst some of the highest offensive tackles in every single year. Never had a grade lower than 80 overall, and you see the pass blocking numbers as well. Never went under 81 and actually registered a 90.5 pass block in 2022. And if you have a reaction to what Tristan Wirfs would be doing on this offensive line for Miami, what other than Leonardo DiCaprio playing Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street, biting those hands, biting the knuckles? Like, that is how I would feel having Wirfs on this offensive line protecting Tua Tagovailoa. That would be an unreal blindside protector if you want to play him at right tackle, or if you want to keep him at left tackle as well and maybe move Terron Armstead. Either way, you are adding a top 3 offensive tackle in the game of football to your roster at a much needed position, because the offensive line is still the biggest question mark on this Miami Dolphins roster, specifically at right guard. We're going to talk more about Tristan Wirfs and what it would take to get him potentially in just a second. But would you want to trade for Tristan Wirfs? Be the GM, be Chris Greer for me down in the comment section. Type Y for yes or type N for no. The question that needs to be asked, and frankly needs to be answered as well, is how would the Miami Dolphins acquire Tristan Wirfs in a trade, and where would he play on the offensive line? Because we showed you, he played right tackle for 3 years. He played left tackle last year. Well, the Dolphins actually have decent offensive tackles, at least right now on paper, barring any injuries, in Terron, Armstead, and Austin Jackson. Jackson has been up and down in his career, but he did have his best season after being the 18th pick out of USC this past year at right tackle, after being a left tackle and left guard in the past. And when you just look at this group, the one thing that is clear is the right guard position is absolutely abysmal. No offense to Robert Jones, but I just don't feel comfortable about that spot on this O-line. And that does work on the blind side of Tua Tagovailoa. Obviously not the right tackle spot, but still on that blind side where he's looking left, because he's obviously a lefty, a little bit different in comparison to other NFL rosters. But who's going to step up and play right guard? Is it going to be Jones? Is it going to be Eichenberg? Is it going to be Driscoll? Like, who is going to take that job? And I think we can actually find the solution in a potential Tristan Wirfs trade. Now, I do want to shout out Mike Williams, who is a Dolphins Twitter content creator, and he kind of gave some inspiration for trade ideas that we're going to look at in this video. So I just want to give a shout out to him real quickly. But he also did mention that it would benefit Tampa Bay financially for this upcoming season to move on from Tristan Wirfs. It would not help them long term, that's for sure. But at least this year, they would save $18.5 million with a post-June 1st trade. So if they want to go out and spend money at different positions or just have overall more flexibility in the 2024 season, trading Wirfs away after June 1st would give them that. And that is a big contract for Miami to take on as well. But remember, $18 million is coming off the books for the Dolphins post-June 1st when Xavier Howard's contract comes off. That's the money side of it. Let's talk about the actual potential movements in this deal. The Dolphins in this first trade idea get Tristan Wirfs, obviously, and all they would have to give up is Austin Jackson and a 2025 second-round pick. Not sure if this is enough, but when you think about this deal, you just get a massive upgrade at right tackle and a more stable long-term fit on that offensive line for only a second-round pick potentially. Yeah, we'll talk more about this in just a second. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to have everything covered for the Miami Dolphins in the offseason. Leading up to their regular season, we're going to be live for every Miami Dolphins game. 561 subscribers away from 57K. Join us right now. You will not regret it. And let's get to 57K ASAP. All right, referring back to that trade just a second ago, could you get a massive upgrade at right tackle for only a second-round pick? I mean, it would be quite the upgrade and blindside protector for Tua. I don't want to be too harsh on Austin Jackson, but like I mentioned, 18th pick out of USC, also in that 2020 NFL draft, just going 5 slots after Tristan Wirfs did. Jackson just hasn't had the most stable career. Missed 2022 due to injuries, but in the other 3 seasons, he has primarily played at different positions each year. His rookie season, he played left tackle. It was rough. He didn't put up good numbers. He didn't pass the eye test and allowed 4 sacks. Then in year 2, they moved him to left guard, and he did not really give you that much either that season. But then last year, could he have found his home at right tackle opposite of Terron Armstead? It was his best graded year from PFF on every single metric, only allowed 4 sacks. That has given you some hope for the future of Austin Jackson. But the moral of the story is, folks, you draft an offensive tackle at 18, you expect that to be your franchise left tackle, franchise right tackle for the foreseeable future. That just has simply not been the case for Austin Jackson, and it could prompt Chris Grier to go out and try to upgrade that position to make sure Tua stays upright, doesn't get hit as much as concussions and head injuries are concerned for number 1. It's something that Chris Grier, I think, would have to consider if he caught wind that Tristan Wirfs was actually available via trade from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A second trade option coming up on the way, but first, get hooked up with this Dolphins t-shirt combo on sale for $15 off right now at chatsports.com/Dolphins combo. I got my Dolphins combo right now as well. So get yours today and join me by getting $15 off before they sell out. One more time, chatsports.com/Dolphins combo. Link is in the description and comments of today's video. All right, trade idea number 2 for Tristan Wirfs. Maybe you don't have to give up Austin Jackson. Maybe Tampa Bay would be willing to take a more lace deal, I should say. A 2025 first-round pick and a 2025 fourth-round pick. Now, that Twitter user Mike Williams did only say 1 first-round pick. I don't think that would be enough, so I added in a 4th where you don't give up Austin Jackson, but you also give Tampa Bay a first-round pick so they could have more assets and get a 5th-year option on whatever player they did end up taking in the next draft. But I do want to refer to this because I don't think Tampa would accept either. As sad as it is, as much as it's fun to talk about Wirfs joining this offensive line and how dominant this group would be, I just don't see Tampa trading away a player of Wirfs' caliber because every team in the NFL would want Tristan Wirfs on their team and would cherish him being on this roster. But if you did make this deal where you don't have to give up Austin Jackson, this is where your offensive line would stand for 2024. You'd have Terron Armstead at left tackle, Isaiah Wynn at left guard, Aaron Brewer at center, Austin Jackson moves back inside for his fourth position on the O-line in 4 years, and then you have Tristan Wirfs at right tackle, and then suddenly this is a top 10 offensive line group in the National Football League. Maybe that's a little aggressive to say that, but I truly do believe you get those two bookend tackles and move Jackson inside, you have a top group in the NFL. And then not to mention, if you trade for Tristan Wirfs, you're obviously going to extend him, and you should because he is the best or one of the best offensive tackles in all football. You would now be able to pair up Tristan Wirfs with the second-round selection that you had from Houston in this past draft, Patrick Paul, and that would be an elite combination for the next 8 seasons on the offensive line protecting Tua for this Miami Dolphins roster. I mean, it would just be unbelievable because I do expect Armstead to play this season out and then likely retire, and that's where Patrick Paul comes into play. But if you have Wirfs and Paul as your two bookend tackles, boy, do you have a solid group moving forward, and you still have a future right guard as well with Austin Jackson as you just signed him to an extension. So let's revisit the two trades that we talked about for Tristan Wirfs, and I want to get your opinion on which one you would rather do. Would you rather get Wirfs for Austin Jackson in a second-round pick to where you only have to send a second and you get an upgrade at right tackle? Or would you prefer trade number 2 where you keep Austin Jackson, move him inside to guard, but give up a future first-round pick and a fourth-round pick? Let me know which trades you prefer, type 1 for 1 or 2 for 2. I'm typing my 2s. I mean, I would give that in a heartbeat, and if I found out somehow that that was even on the table for Chris Grier, I would be slapping him silly trying to get this deal done. That's how much I would want Tristan Wirfs on this team, and hopefully he would be willing to move to right tackle, or back to right tackle, I should say. I know left tackles get paid more, but if you paid him like a left tackle at right tackle because, well, right tackle is as important as left tackle for the Dolphins because of the quarterback hand switcheroo, I just could not be more happier with Tristan Wirfs being the blindside protector of the future, potentially, for Tua Tagovailoa. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys are continuing to enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, but make sure you do subscribe to the channel because we are going to have you covered on everything surrounding the Fins in the offseason, the regular season. You won't want to miss anything surrounding Miami right here at the channel. So subscribe and go Fins.